The thing with art is because there are no rules, it's always going to upset someone, but it's always going to delight someone else. Was that what you were expecting? Marvellous.
That was quite good. Yeah.
It's about actors taking action for their career.
Hey guys, welcome to the Convo Couch. Today we've got Angeline Andrews, actress, coach, and director. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me here today. I would say London's quite different. I find that London is very unique. I think, for me, I don't think there's anywhere on earth like it. I really don't. You know, the history, the culture, and especially coming from a performing arts background as well. We've just got that, you know, history that goes on forever, you know, before Shakespeare, who was obviously so prolific. And that's still thriving, which is absolutely wonderful.
So when you were growing up in London, was acting the first thing you pursued, or?
No, it wasn't. I started, first of all, by playing instruments as a child. And then, like most people, I just kind of got into drama at high school, really. And like a lot of people, had a very inspirational drama teacher as well. And yeah, everything just progressed from there, really.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's only at high school age that I probably made that conscious decision that, yeah, you know, I want to kind of take this further. Yeah.
So that's what our inspirational drama teachers can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
They change your life.
Absolutely. Her name was Miss Wilson, and we called her Wills. So the fact that she let us call her something other than Miss Wilson was wonderful. She was just funky and she would harbour people's enthusiasm and talent and would really push people. But in a very supportive and nurturing way.
And do you think about her sometimes now that you've started your own, I guess, sort
of coaching business? Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, you know, it's there's always someone or something that's responsible for our growth in anything. So for me, it would be her. Yeah.
So what would be some of, I guess, the principles that you teach as well in acting or?
Yeah, I think really for me in terms of actors' career coaching, it's about actors taking action for their career. I started it up back in 2016 and I'd been in Australia for a little while, and I was kind of asking around various unions, directors, etc., you know, is there a kind of coaching and mentoring program that people can use to just keep propelling themselves along? Because my situation at that time was that I'd come into a foreign country, and so I was starting again in terms of contacts. And really there wasn't the kind of thing that I was looking for. So I went and trained as a career coach and took the bull by the horns. So yeah, it's been really wonderful to work with actors of all different types, ages, experience levels, and just watch their career grow, because it can be an incredibly lonely business, you know, when we're not training, when we're not rehearsing, when we're not performing. What do we do? And there's so much to do, you know, our work never stops. So it's keeping that momentum going and being really focused on, okay, what do I need to do next in order to further my career?
So what else do you think actors or actresses can do when they're not actually, I guess, auditioning or on a film set? I mean, they can create their own work, which is what a lot of them say. Yeah. What else do you have in mind?
I think marketing, you know, your marketing absolutely has to be hot. It really does. So, you know, your CV, your show reel, your headshots, everything needs to be up to date. You need to get out there. You know, we need to collaborate and network. We really, really do. You know, we can't let an agent be responsible for our career, because we're the person that's responsible for our career. Why are you an actor? Because there's so many people say, oh, you know, I'm creative. You know, there's so many other arts that we could do. Of course there is. It's not a good way to make solid income at all, you know. So that's not really high up on most people's priority list. But as actors, we, you know, in our craft, we always look for a motivation and our super objective, if we want to use kind of theatre terms. So we need to have that for ourselves. And once we've found, okay, what is it that just does it for me and that I can provide, then that is our constant motivation. And I say to people, stick it on your mirror or whatever you do, but that, once you know fundamentally what it is that acting does for you and you do for it, then that's your motivation to keep going. My work, I hope, entertains, inspires, informs and educates. And if I feel that I've done at least one of those things in any particular service or production that I've done, then for me, I've hit that goal. A lot of people say that they like acting. And that's great. Good. Great place to start. Absolutely great place to start. But it's very different doing it on an amateur basis and as a hobby than it is professionally. And that is the leap that people need to make if they want to go into that professional world, is to learn what exactly is needed from an actor. And that is something, you know, when people do go to drama school, there's so much emphasis on the craft itself because there's only a limited amount of time. It's those business skills that you need, like all of your marketing, your networking, you know, what do I do in order to prepare for an audition? How do I do a self-tape? What's the difference between a self-tape and a show reel? That's something that gets very confused sometimes. I kind of divide coaching into two streams. I kind of say working in your career, which is your craft and your art, your technique, and then working on your career, which is all those business applications.
So what are some of the tools that might help you with the business side of things?
So things definitely like your marketing materials, like your headshots, CV needs to be industry standard. Show reel, voice reels are very helpful as well. Your profiles on various casting platforms, that's really important that those are kept up to date is a really important thing. Everything needs to be of a professional standard. You know, we can't have show reels that have been taped in on someone's iPhone, you know, or likewise with headshots, you know, everything's got to be of that professional standard. We also do a lot of work on agents as well. I get a lot of people coming to me saying, I've had it with my agent, the relationship's not working. And my first question is, when did you last sit down and have a business meeting with your agent? We've got to bear in mind they're a business partner with us. They're not there to do everything for us. They're there as an associate with us. So we need to work with them as an absolute team. And it's amazing how people transform their relationships with their agents once they've sat down, either on the phone or preferably face to face, and had a chat about their career and seen what the agent's been putting them up for, what the agent actually sees them in terms of a type. Because some actors going, oh, I'm not getting any work. But you actually look a little bit different from what you think you are at the moment.
So do you feel like working with your type is something that actors and actresses should embrace rather than oppose?
We have to, you know, it's the way it is. Yes, sometimes casting directors will throw a curveball in and say, oh yeah, we'll have someone who doesn't particularly look like this brief. But at the end of the day, we always need to remember the kind of circle of life when it comes to casting, is that the decision doesn't lay with the casting director, it lays with the client or the director. And we need to embrace the fact that those people might just see stock characters. Of course we can play anything as actors, of course we are, that's what we're trained to do, and that's something that's so wonderful for us to do, is to play something completely outside of how we look. But at the moment I'm getting cast as mums and wives because that's how I look. Of course I could play some kind of party hooligan, but at the moment I just don't look like that, so the opportunities of that are very, very low. And there's nothing wrong with that as well, you know, it's finding the joy in that type that you look like and finding those exciting things that can happen. And if you're finding that work isn't kind of coming your way for whatever reason, or that, you know, within that type you're not playing some of the juicy roles that you would like to, that's when we start collaborating and making our own work from there. At the end of the day, I don't think actors have that choice, you know, because it is the person with the money who's saying who they want, you know, and that's probably a little bit crass, and I don't know if you want to put that on, but we have to acknowledge that we are in a certain bracket. We really do. If you want to push outside that bracket, then that's when you start collaborating with your writers, your directors, your filmmakers, your theatre makers, and do something that really does kind of shock people out of what you look like. But there's nothing wrong with typecasting. I personally don't feel, you know, it's great. You know what you look like. You can push towards that in your career.
Maybe work with the flow more than
absolutely, yeah. Because if we're constantly pushing against something, it's going to be so much harder than when we go, okay, great, this is how I look, let's go for all those opportunities there. If you really have a passion to play something that you're just not getting cast for because that's not in your casting bracket right now, make your own role. I think always a missed opportunity that a lot of actors are experiencing are actually working with people they've previously worked with. when was the last time that people actually looked back over their CV and said, oh, do you know what, so-and-so directed that, or I worked with such and such an actor, let's pick up the phone, give them a call, have a coffee, or, oh, I really like working with that person, let's maybe jot down some ideas, can we have a little session together where we can maybe create something new. That's a really missed opportunity. So I do implore actors to go back over your CV.
Okay, I like that perspective on that, in terms of really like taking charge of
Absolutely.
your career and going out there.
It's your career, your career, no one else's, and we have to take ownership. And we can sit there and feel sad if the phone doesn't ring. We've got a million things we can be doing, you know, our audition monologues, our self-tapes, all of our marketing and stuff. There's so much we can be doing. So there should never be a dull moment, in my opinion. Obviously get yourself a coach or a mentor. You know, that is something that's so fundamental. Someone who's had that industry experience that you can really connect with and sit down and say, okay, if you were in my shoes now, what would you do? Because we can all look back over our careers and go, oh, there is something I would have done differently at whatever point there. I'm a huge advocate of people reading. Read. For me, there is no excuse why actors shouldn't read at least a play a week. Or a film script, whatever it happens to be. But we need to become experts in our craft, because once we've got that knowledge, then we apply that to our craft, and then we just grow from there onwards. There's a wonderful British playwright called Dennis Kelly, and his work is phenomenal, and he touches on all the taboo subjects. Horrible things happen in some of his scripts, but he goes to those places that people won't go to, you know, those really unsafe, unsettling places. So he's an absolutely marvellous playwright. And then I would say, you know, I of course I love my Oscar Wilde, you know, and you know, but that's the thing about getting that wide reading knowledge. You know, you can pick and pull from various different things. And also, as you know, as an actor as well, we need to be reading, because we need those monologues for when the phone rings and we need to all of a sudden get into an audition tomorrow. So it's about creating that portfolio of monologues as well through our reading. It's really important. That's a really important thing, and something that I do in coaching a lot as well is about saying no to jobs, because a lot of the time people kind of go, oh great, you know, I've been offered a role, I must do it. I think fundamentally we always need to know, what are we signing up for? The minute that we get an offer or even an audition, you know, have you read the script before you've gone into the audition room? If you haven't, how do you know what you're auditioning for? If there is something that is completely against someone's morals or something that they feel completely uncomfortable with, firstly you need to talk to your director about it and see if there is a way around that, or something that they can just rewrite, or however they wish to redo that. If it is something that's really against what you as a person believe in, why are you doing the project? That would be my question. If it is something like a kissing scene, as you mentioned there, maybe it's a case of, okay, working really deeply on that character, what leads up to that kiss for a start, you know. Does that character feel that element of discomfort? Where are you getting that discomfort from as well, you know? Because we need to put on the other skin. And if that character's skin is perhaps saying to us, oh, I feel a little bit uncomfortable here, then maybe that's something in that character's journey that is leading towards that. If it is something of a kind of personal thing, again, I would say work with your team, work with your other actors and your director, and find that way around where you can really bring yourself into that moment there. As an actor, do you need to expose you, or do you need to expose the character that you're playing?
Expose the character.
I think putting Australia on the world map in terms of performing arts, whether that's stage, screen, film.
I feel like we're gonna start a trend.
Oh! Can I take it home?